Welcome to online lectures by CA Studies. For more lectures online, please do visit castudies.lk.
Alright guys, so let's look at how to calculate arrears payments future value when it comes to a normal method. Okay, so certain things you've got to remember when it comes to payment in arrears. First thing is that arrears payments are made at the end of the period. It is never made at the beginning of the period. It is always done at the end of the period. Secondly, no payment is made at the beginning of the period, which I told previously, but you remember the year 0 we added a payment for when it came to advance payments. So, but in arrears payments, we never add a P0 or anything like that. Okay. Alright. And thirdly, that point when I do the question, you will get it. Just note down last end of period, the last regular payment. Last regular payment does not attract, does not get compounded. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. Okay, let's start with the example. So they say a person invests 400 rupees in 1 year's time. 1 year's time means an indication that they are not making it today and making it later. Later means it is a payment in arrears. Alright. In a pension fund and further 400 rupees at the end of each year for 3 more years. 3 more years. He is putting first of all in 1 year's time and 3 more years. The more word is very important. Okay, because if they say for 3 and the investment period is 3 years, then 2 more years only he will invest. But they have said here he invests for 3 more years. Alright. How much would the total investment be worth after the investment period if the interest earned is at the rate of 10% per year? So first of all, few things to get sorted. First thing is is it a regular payment or not? Is it a regular payment or not? It is yes, because they are investing more than one time. If cash flow is being invested more than one time, then that is a regular payment. Okay, so now here there are 4 times, 1 year's time and then 3 more times. So 4 times. Okay. Secondly, what is the period that they invest? In every year or every month or every quarter? What is the period? It is every year. Okay. So that is one thing to solve. Thirdly, what is the rate? Is it per year? Which rates period you have to say? Rates period. Is it per month or quarter or per year? According to this question, they have given it 10% per year. So, no problem, because rate and this should be in the same category, same period. Both should reflect the same period. Right. Having said that, let's look at the normal method timeline. So first step is drawing your timeline with year 0 start and year 1 end, then year 2 beginning, year 2 end, year 3 beginning, year 3 end, year 4 beginning and year 4 end. Okay. Now, he invests 400 rupees in 1 year's time. That means he is not investing anything today. So, no payment in year 0. Okay, no payment in year 0. So in 1 year's time only he is investing his first 400 rupees to the pension account. So which will be 400 here. At the end of year 1. End. Why is that? Why did I choose? Why did I choose end? Because in arrears means payments are made every period at the end of each period. That's why I included 400 rupees to be shown at the end of the first year. Alright. Then next, now this is beginning of first, let's imagine this is a Jan to December calendar. So year 0 will be 1st of January and year 1 end will be 31st December. Year 2 beginning will be again 1st of January. This will be 31st December, Jan, December, Jan, December. Okay. Next payment, they are saying he will make for 3 more years. That means I am now going to see, okay, what is the one more additional year? That now my next payment definitely must be at the end of my next year. Not at the beginning. No, at the end. Why is that? Because my payment is made in arrears. Remember that very, very carefully. So at the end of the second year, my additional 1 more payment I am making. Then they said 3 more years. No? Now first year is done. Okay, now 1 more year, another year. End of third year it should be. And another year, because now first year is done, second year additional is done. They said 3 more additional years. So the third year addition will be at the end of year 4, which is 400 here. Now there is a new assumption that's coming into play. That is, we assume that at the end of the investment period, your funds will be withdrawn from the whatever deposit. So, this after the day you invest, the last payment is the day of the end investment period. That means now the last day of payment will indicate your last day of your investment. So your investment period will be closed from the last day of your payment. That is the fourth point under arrears, this one. Alright, may remember that. Investment period, write down this fourth point. In any, not only in arrears, in anywhere it is assumed like that. Even in advance payments also it is assumed that investment period ends on the last day of payment. It should be in your tute, okay? Last day of payment. Fine. So I hope you got that assumption now. Therefore, what will be our investment period? They said, so the rule says investment period ends on the last day of payment. So now we have to find when did we make our last payment. Our last payment was made at the end of year 4. End of year 4. So our investment period will end by the end of year 4. Got it? So that is the importance of you knowing that we shouldn't allocate any payment to the period 0. Otherwise it will clash. Also we must be allocating it or the payments in arrears for the end of the periods, end of each period. Alright, so here end. This is for arrears. For advance, where did we put? Advance, we put it for the beginning of the year. So beginning of year 1 is year 0. That's why we had a payment made. They said payment is made now, means beginning of the period. Alright. Okay, I hope you all got it. Okay, now simple. Now we will calculate the future value using the future value formula which we considered for single cash flows, and also the compound interest formula. Okay, both are the same. So the first, this is our first 400. Now let me take, now this is the end of the investment period. So our value, future value will have to be found out at the end of the investment period. At the end of our investment period ends in year 4. So year 4 must be your like cutoff point. Year 4 end, not beginning. When it's beginning, then what is? Year 3 will be a cutoff point. No, year 4 beginning will be a cutoff point. Okay. So, but now it is in year 4 end. Alright, so what is the formula for future value or the compound interest formula we used for fixed interest rates? What is it? S or future value equal present value or X, that is for the compound interest formula, into 1 plus R to the power N. Same thing. So in this case, present value or X is 400 rupees. So you put it here and multiply by 1 plus R is, what is R? According to this question, it is 10% per year. So put 10% and multiply to the number of years it 10% will be applied on the first year's cash flow invested, because this cash flow is put at the end of the first year and it will stay in the pension account till the end of the 4th year. So interest will be paid to us only if our money waits in the pension account or in the deposit for at least a year. So we should see how many years our money is in the account. So our money is for, now at the end of first year they have invested. So for second year it is in the account. In the third year from beginning to end it's there, and fourth year from beginning to end it is there. Right? So so it is available in the pension account for 3 years. Right? Because we invested at the end of the first year. So 3 more times means 3 years only it is there in your pension fund. So because we are getting an interest only if our money is in the pension fund for at least a year. If it is not for an year, then we will not get the interest. So since it is calculated for a yearly basis, we are going to see how many years this first year's cash flow was in the account, and so we counted from year two. Now since it's year 1 end, from year 2 beginning only it's going on, so 3. Alright, so that will be 1.1 to the power 3 into 400 is 532.4. Second year's interest, second year's regular payment. Same formula you will be applying, 400 multiplied by 1 plus R, which is 10% per year. And how many years it is in the pension account? It is in the pension account for 2 more years, because we invested at the end of the second year. So end of the second year is 31st December. beginning of the third year is 1st January. So there is only like a 1 night gap, isn't it? Or 1 day gap. So for 1 day will we earn interest? No, we will not earn interest if our money is there for 1 day. We will earn it only if our money is there for 1 year at least. So how many 1 years are there is our money available in the pension account? For how many years? So how many 1 year? So from the our end year is this year 4. So up to that, how many years we must see from year 2 end to year 4 end. So it is year 3 it is 1, year 4 it is another one, so 2 years. So the second year's cash flow is available for only 2 years. So you put 1.1 to the power 2 into 484. Alright, then third year's cash flow. For how long it stays? 400 multiplied by 1 plus 10%. How many years it is waiting in the account? For only 1 year, because it's put at the end of the third year on 31st December. So 1 more year to go to complete our investment period, because investment period ends on the last day of payment. Our last day of payment is here, which is at year 4 end. So that's why it is counted up to year 4 end, making it 1 year for the third year's cash flow, which is 440. Now comes the logical part for when it comes to fourth year's cash flow. That is, your fourth year end cash flows future value, if we are going to calculate, we will be putting 400 here. Now, future value formula, why did they create that formula? If you recap what we learnt initially, just think, why did they initiate this future value formula? That's because every amount we invest capitalizes interest, attracts interest income, and increases the value later. So because it increases the value, we have to find the increased value because of interest. No? That increased value is represented by this R over here. Now, when it comes to your fourth cash flow, year 4 end cash flow, we assume that investment period ends on the last day of payment, and there's a new assumption that's coming in. New assumption, which is the fifth assumption, is that we withdraw the payment at the end of investment period. Withdraw payment at end of investment period. So our end of investment period is year 4 end, but we are withdrawing our payment from there. So once we withdraw, so that means the fourth year end's cash flow of 400 rupees, which is here, will wait only for 1 day, because we put the money on 31st December. So after that we will take all the money. We will not leave it in the deposit account or pension account. Then will our fourth year cash flow attract interest? No. Why is it? Because our fourth year cash flow waits in the account only for 1 day. They don't wait for at least a year. And we earn interest only when our cash flow waits for at least 1 year. Okay. So since it waits only for 1 day, we will not add on interest to it. So this part will just be 1, no interest. So it will be what? 1 plus no interest, no, 0 to the power 1. This is a key point in arrears payments. The final year payment will not accumulate interest. So there is not no any interest. Why? Because it stays in the account only for 1 day, whereas interest is offered only when the money stays in the account for at least a year. Having said that, your future value of the 4th year cash flow will be the same 400. Think about it, reflect, because key is finding for which period do we earn interest. If we earn interest because imagine a fixed deposit account. Why are they paying you interest of any amount percentage? If you ask your parents, okay, your FD, we have put a fixed deposit, but they are earning an annual interest income. Why do they earn that annual interest income? Why do you think they earn it? That's because they are keeping their money in the account for a long period of time. But what's the point? So it is anyway there. So why? Again, because the money that we have today is not equally valuable as the money we would get in later or in 1 year's time or even tomorrow. Why is it? Now if you imagine you buy rice for, let's say, 100 rupees, example. In 1 year, can you buy the same kilos of rice for 100 rupees? Do you think it is possible? No. Because as the government changes price for the necessary items changes. No? It does change. Every government change, we had a price change. So because of the price change, our value of the money that we put in today is not the same tomorrow, because we can't buy the same amount of rice using the money we put in today. So that's why bank is giving us an interest. For that time we keep the money, we invest the money, because by that interest we get an extra amount, no? Then we can afford to buy the same kilo of rice with using the money that we put to the bank account plus the interest income we earned. Alright, so that is the concept of future value. That's why future value compounds your interest. That's why future value, present value, this theory is applicable for compounded interest scenarios. That's why the future value formula is similar to the formula we observed in this section, compound interest under fixed area. Same formula. In this case, at the end of year 4, only we are investing an amount, and the next day we are withdrawing the entire cash flow. Then does a day make a difference? Not much. Maybe a cent difference, but it never will accumulate, it will never attract 10% interest, because it was available in the account only for 1 day. Alright, that is why we didn't include 10% to the formula, and therefore it became 1 here, and 400 into 1 will give the same value, 400. So a day's gap doesn't make a difference. Today also you will be able to buy rice for 100 rupees. Tomorrow also you will be able to buy rice for 100 rupees in the practical scenario. isn't it? Right. Same logic you apply it here as well. Having said that, your total will be 532.4 plus 484 plus 440 plus 400. 1856.4 will be the future value of these regular payments made in arrears. Okay. So I hope you all got a clear understanding on how to do arrears payments via a normal method. Once you understand this concept, doing it via the next method, geometric expression, is super easy because you have the idea in your mind. So nicely absorb this concept so that you can do any question you can answer, because this is the theory. And this is where people make mistake if you don't understand the logic. Alright, having said that, let's look at geometric expressions for arrears payment. So let's continue with the example that we discussed under arrears method of regular cash flows in order to find future values. Let's start with geometric expression, the second method. Now, if a payment is made in arrears, you all know now that there is no payment made in year 0. And the first payment in an arrears situation starts at the end of year 1. Why we choose the particular year gaps? Because the question says that the payment is made on an annual basis. That's the reason we have chosen time periods as years. Okay, so year 1 end we make a first payment 400. Then second year end we make the second payment. Now they are making the payment in first of all in 1 year's time, they have said, and further 400 at the end of each of 3 more years. So first year, then second year. So 3 more years, no? After this 3 more years. So 1, 2 and another 3. Okay. So this is the same format what we applied for normal method. Now under geometric expression, now this is the key factor you should remember. And now under geometric expression, refer back to your tute and say what is the arrears formula for geometric expression. We know that there is a different formula, and that formula is S equals, this time because it's arrears, because the payment is in arrears, it will be A multiplied by R to the power n minus 1, not AR, and then divided by R minus 1. So you know what this stands for? It stands for the same thing. Now let's solve this. So A is the regular payment in arrears, which is 400, because we are paying annually 400. So 400 is our annual cash flow. Multiply by R, you know it is 1 plus R. So what is R in this question? It's the interest rate, which is 10% per year. Since it's a year and since this is also for a year, this annual payment, this regular payment also must be in years. It cannot be in months. If it is in months, then this R also should be for a monthly rate. It should be for a month. I hope you all understood. Make sure you all know the gap, the relationship. You all should relate every item to the same period. Okay. So 1 plus R is 1 plus 10% to the power. I told you all in geometric expression we can't go by the number of years interest is applied to like the normal method. We have to only count how many times we are putting the money every year during our entire investment period. So how many times we are doing it? 1, 2, 3 and 4 times. Because of that reason, we put 4 here. But if you look at the normal method, there we put only up to 3. And then the last one we didn't multiply by anything, we straight away put into to the power 1. The reason was we considered the time gap between each year for which interest is applicable to. But in this, when it comes to the geometric expression formula, you will put 4 here because the number of times we invested the cash flow during the period is 4. And also the reason is, this is another formula compared to advanced method. That's the reason that gets adjusted accordingly. Okay. So with that you can continue. That's the only learning point. Minus 1, multiply the entire thing, divide by 1.1 minus 1. The answer will be 1856. The same answer what we found under normal method. Okay, so with that we finish geometric expression under arrears method. Let's look at a small question again. Now let's see the other question. Now they say, assume in addition to the above, it's a continuation of the previous example. Assume in addition to above, he invests extra 2,500 in the end of year 1 only. That means at here, he puts another 2,500 for this. Here, at the end of year 1, he invests 2,500 again and finishes from there. He doesn't continue to invest after that. Then what you should do, you should find the future value of 400 separately, future value of 400 payment separately, and add it, you should add it to the future value of 2,500. That's all you need to do. Now 2,500 we invested at the end of year 1. So that means if you take the future value, it applies to how many years the interest rate is applicable to? 1, 2 and 3. 3 years, no? So you get the future value formula, which is present value 2,500 multiplied by 1 plus 10% to the power 3. Okay. And this one we found as 1856. I hope you got the logic. This is not a payment, it is a payment in arrears but a single cash flow. We learnt the single cash flow here, part 4, one time investment, and that investment was made at the end of the first year. So how to find the future value of single cash flows? This method, future present value into 1 plus r to the power n. With that you finish because it's a single cash flow. Okay. Then take your total. Total must be, you will get 5,184 totally. Fine. Alright. So with that, this is the question that links both single cash flow and regular payment in arrears. So in the exam they might give such questions. So be ready and with the formulas and practice this type of questions, then it will be fine. Alright, next let's look at reverse calculation to find initial investment value once they have given the end value. That means how much to invest at the beginning. Let's see that. Now, in reverse calculation, one thing that we should note is, here they expect us to find the beginning value, the amount that we should invest at the beginning. While in the exam they will give what will be a future value of that initial amount. So, using the future value of the initial amount, we must calculate the beginning value. Now, let's look at this example. What they have said, what should be the initial investment value if a company expects to replace an asset for 12,000 rupees in 4 years' time? That means the asset value in 4 years' time, after 4 years, after or in 4 years is 12,000 rupees. Then they are asking what will be the assets value today, the present value. So what you should do here is, you can apply, now first question you need to ask is whether the payment for to buy the asset is a regular payment or single cash flow. Example of regular payment of buying the asset means you are paying installment. That means as a buyer, you are going to the shop and saying, I will pay monthly 500 rupees and so that I will get the asset in 1 year's time, you can transfer the ownership to me, and then by the end of 4 years, you will be getting 12,000 rupees. Something like that will be applicable to regular cash flow scenario in this case. But how this will become a single cash flow is, at once you buy the asset. At once you buy the asset. So basically they are asking, what is your buying price? Okay. So now in this case, let's read through the example further. So they say they expect to replace an asset for 12,000 rupees in 4 years' time using a fund to which equal annual amounts will be invested. Now the key word is equal annual amounts. They are equal amounts, okay? It should be equal and annual. Now that's what they say. Annual payments will be invested at the end of each year. These two are the key words you should extract from your exam question. If you miss this, you won't get the answer right. So make a note. You should first of all, when you come across this section, check whether it's an equal annual payment, and then check whether it is made at the end of each year. If the end of each year or beginning of each year. Now in this question it is made at the end of each year. And make sure this can be annual or monthly or daily, but key word is whether it is equal or not. Okay, if it is equal or not. In that case, since it's an equal annual payment and made at the end of each year, this is sort of a arrears payment, right? It's a payment made in arrears. That's one thing we can conclude. And the other thing we can conclude is this is an annuity. You will learn in the next chapter, chapter 4. Chapter 4, where you will be learning about annuities and perpetuities. Same thing. So when you do that, you will remember what is an annuity. So here, now this is an equal annual payment. That means since it is made annually, that means every year, since it is paid every year, this can be considered as a regular payment. Because it is not paid only one time now. It is paid more than one time on a fixed basis. So, since it's a regular payment and a payment made in arrears, we can use the geometric expression formula for arrears, which is S equals A into Rn minus 1 divided by R minus 1. Because in finding the future value of regular payments in arrears, we can use only two methods, that is the normal one and the geometric expression method. Now, normal and geometric expression methods indirectly use this single cash flow future value formula, isn't it? If you look at the normal, actually not the geometric expression but the normal method, it uses the future value formula applicable to the single cash flow, but it works in a different way. Now, geometric expression, it's a different formula, it's a different thing. And just what we should do is only see whether the criteria matches to the geometric expression and apply the relative formula. So, in this case, S is equal to 12,000, the future value. A is what we need to find, the present value. R is what is already given, 10%, 1 plus 10%. And N is the number of periods, already they have said it is in 4 years. So 4 minus 1 divided by 1 plus 10% minus 1. Solve for A, you will get the answer 2530. Now, the 4 that I got here, actually here it's saying 4, and also the main thing is that this they are paying in installment now. This installment is paid every 4 years, that is every year up to 4 years, and at the end of each year, that means in December they are paying every year, in December they are paying until 4 years. So that is why it is called, I took 4 years here, 4 here, and now we found annually how much we are paying. 2513 is the regular payment we make. So they are asking basically so that is the payment we make. So, and actually the buying price is 12,000 rupees. They are not looking for the buying price, they are looking for how much you are paying annually. So the buying price they have given 12,000. So then apply that to the formula and see every year how much you are supposed to pay. Okay. So with that we finish reverse calculation to find initial investment value. With this we finish the chapter compounding and discount.